Hey Google, start a timer for 30 minutes.
Alright, 30 minutes. Starting now.
Can you tell Len to not hit the balloons?
And oop.
You turn that off?
I just turned it down to 68. Is it 69 in here? Is that okay?
You turned it down.
It was at 69. I put it at 68 because it was already 69 here in the house.
So you turned the temperature down.
Yes. Yes.
And you also turned the...
Turn the oven on because I'm a woman.
The amount of work that the heater is doing, you turn that down also.
Yeah. I said you don't have to keep pushing out that hot air, baby. You can take a little breather.
But it's turned off.
No,
right
it's
now.
still on.
Well, it's not pumping any air.
Yeah, because it's on, but it's set at 68, and the house is at 69 currently, so it doesn't need to pump out any hot air till the temperature in the home goes down to 68.
That's all you need to explain.
That's a lot of words. It's a lot of
But
explaining.
it clears things up
Okay.
super quickly.
Quickly?
Clearly, we're all on the same page.
We're all friends here.
We're all friends here.
And oop. Let's go.
Greetings, Internet. Welcome to But I'm Still a Good Person by Vince Nicholas. I'm Vince Nicholas. I'm joined by my sparkling wifey, Carolyn Nicholas.
Hi, honey.
Hello, honey. Thank you for joining me at our dining room table for our little program here. Okay. So what we're doing is we're going to give context because what happened is we were just kind of chit-chatting and there wasn't a formal introduction to the next segment. We were just kind of going over ins and outs and abstract thoughts, and then it blossomed into something, I think. You pour a little water on that flower, it'll grow into a sunflower in the fields of Woodland, California. So I thought it morphed into a good conversation, but there was zero context given. So we're going to do some context now, and then we're going to record some different segment after our initial conversation, just because there are more thoughts, feelings, comments, and reflections. So we watched Yellow Jackets. We loved Yellow Jackets. It's on Showtime, television show. But we didn't have anything after Yellow Jackets, so I found a link on the internet that said 10 shows to watch if you love Yellow Jackets. You went to that link and you narrowed it from 10 to 3. And then there were a bunch of comments because it was a Facebook post link. There were a bunch of comments saying Hannibal. Hannibal was on this list.
Hannibal was the number one.
Yeah. And
everyone ranting and raving about it.
A lot of people commenting Hannibal. I only know Hannibal from the Anthony Hopkins Silence of the Lambs cinematic universe or whatever. I mean, I know it was a show, but I didn't watch it. It happened in 2013, lasted 3 seasons. It was on NBC, 39 episodes. It's quite intimidating to dive into something with so many episodes. So we watched it, and
well, we watched one episode.
We watched one episode, and that was enough. So, giving context, our Hannibal review. Do you have anything to say, honey?
I was done after one episode.
Yeah.
Zero desire to continue on.
Yeah.
Don't understand why everyone was raving so much about this show.
Yeah. It had 2 devices that just wanted to jump out the window. But the first one was, so this guy, this professor who understands serial killers, who works with Larry Fishburne, who's a Fed or a CIA, I don't know. But he would show up to a murder scene or a butchering or whatever, and he could recreate, like he had this thing in his mind where he could put himself in the role of the serial killer, and he could be like, oh, he was over in the bathroom, and then he beheaded her in the den, and so and it was visually carried out in the show. So it was like an excuse to splash a bunch of blood everywhere, and I was like, I don't like that. Him putting himself in the role of the serial killer so they could show some blood, and I just thought that was dumb.
It's like Criminal Minds, where the whole team is about profiling the criminals, and it's like this man had many siblings, and he only targeted brown-haired women from the ages of 24 to 26.
Right.
It's like, really? You know they're taking liberties. You know it's like so fictionalized.
You showed up 10 minutes ago, and suddenly you have everything pieced together like you're freaking Al Capone. No, not Al Capone. Hitchcock. Who's Elliot Ness? Elliot Ness. I don't know. But I thought that was a dumb device, and I was like, I'm not gonna. There's 39 episodes. I was like, I'm not gonna sit here for
39 episodes
for 38 more episodes of this guy going, oh, he was over in the living room, and then he sliced her up in the kitchen. And then the second thing that just wanted to make me jump out the window, and we live on a second story, honey. So
that's a serious threat.
It's very perilous. This young kid who knew the minds of the serial killer, he would be like, first of all, he would get very serious. He would get very morose.
This show is very serious.
He would get very maudlin. And Johnny come lately, Mr. Police Officer would show up and be like, oh, well, what happened here? No. And at one point in the episode, this is the first episode. We saved ourselves heartache, honey. But whoever would showed up and said, well, why would he want to kill this girl? And then Professor Young Man Kid would be like, his line was, he was Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and this was his golden ticket. I thought, okay, that's just poor writing. There's zero cleverness, creativity. I was out like a light. But quickly we transitioned to The Haunting of Hill House, mainly because I've been hearing things about it, various podcasts I listen to. It's written and directed, many episodes directed by a gentleman named Mike Flanagan, who has Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, and Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, and Midnight Mass. And actually, we were on the verge of watching Midnight Mass. These are all on Netflix. This is the Mike Flanagan Cinematic Universe. We were on the verge of watching Midnight Mass right before Halloween because we wanted something scary. But we looked at it, and it was a series. We wanted a movie because we wanted it to be over and done with. And I think it was 8 episodes. It might be 10 episodes. But we wanted something, just a movie, and not like an entire series. But I've heard many glowing things about Mike Flanagan. He has those 3 series on Netflix. And so we went to the Rotten Tomatoes of each series, and Hill House was the most acclaimed, beloved. So we were like, okay, let's dive into Hill House. And it's on Netflix. The Haunting of Hill House, which I will refer to as Hill House from now on, because that's a lot of H's. Alliteration, I get it, but it's hard to say it over and over when you've had a few Michelob Ultras in your system. Haunting of Hill House versus Hannibal. Night and day. 180. Like, it's not even a comparison.
No, well, why are we comparing these 2 shows, honey?
Because we watched them back to back, and I think it speaks to the larger issue of just broadcast television versus streaming, the internet in general. And I'll mention this in the next segment, but writing without ads. So letting a story unfold as Mike Flanagan feels however the story should unfold. Stephen King writing a book instead of writing for commercial breaks and saying, I need 4 spots in this hour-long television episode to get people to stay tuned through 4 minutes of commercials.
Get those ad dollars. Get
that ad paper. So it's like we watch Hannibal and on Hulu, and Hulu's ad breaks are a minute and a half, so much shorter than watching the actual television, but it's still like, it takes you out of it.
It
And you're
does.
like, okay,
How did we live like that back in the day?
I know. Like,
It's so jarring.
a minute and a half of Geico telling you about Geico, and then you're back into the show. The quality, the look, the feel. Hannibal just has a sheen to it. Like,
It looks like the CW. It looks like Vampire Diaries.
yeah. It's just, it's bright, and Hill House is dark. It's just completely opposite of each other, complete contrast. And yeah, the 39 episodes versus Hill House, which has 10 episodes. So Hannibal, we were out of. Let's talk about Haunting on Hill House, or is it of Hill House? Your review, honey. Thoughts, comments, reflections, analysis.
This is not your typical haunting movie or story.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't rely on jump scares.
Right. There
This
are a
has-
few.
there are a
but,
few.
Yeah.
But they feel warranted,
Yeah.
and they're few and far between.
Yes.
This has a lot of sibling family dynamics
Yes,
happening, which is
yes.
very powerful. So it's like a drama. And the backdrop is like the horror
Right.
and the haunting.
Yeah.
And I love it goes back and forth between two timelines when these 5 siblings were kids in this
Yeah.
haunted house, and then when they're grown up, now they're adults, dealing with the ramifications and the aftermath of the trauma they suffered and still carry with them.
Yeah. It goes back and forth seamlessly. I would say almost flawlessly. It's so well done. Mike Flanagan's creative juices flowing. Yeah, the ghosts are there, and they're around, and they're scary and they're freaky, but they're not causing mayhem and cheese. They're not like spewing blood everywhere and chopping people up and
Yeah.
causing chaos. They're more like just background characters to a family who went through a haunted house, and then they also just have family stuff going on.
Yes.
And the haunted house made some of their issues worse. But every family has problems, and then you throw the haunted house in there, and it just makes a dynamic that very very watchable.
I think in a lot of haunted house type of movies, the character, the humans, the family are very one note,
Yeah,
very like 2-dimensional.
yeah,
And it's just like us versus these ghosts.
mm,
But this family is very complex.
yeah,
And it feels real. It feels realistic. The adult siblings that they love each other, but they're angry at each other. And
Right.
their feelings are complicated.
yeah,
And especially as we've gone longer on in the series, a lot of their dysfunction does stem from the time they spent in this haunted house
mm-hmm.
and the ramifications of what happened to them afterwards.
yeah,
So I really appreciate that. It's much more complex than just your standard haunted house movie.
yeah. It's like it borrows from ghost movie, and then it borrows from whatever family drama, family suspense, and it combines the two, and it's something unique. I don't think I've seen it before. Maybe over 10 episodes, maybe a movie here and there I can't think of, but to kind of spread it out over 10 episodes, something you don't see often.
We should note that it's based off either a book or a miniseries by Shirley Jackson,
Yeah.
who's like classic horror writer.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite horror authors. Probably her most famous piece is The Lottery. A lot of us had to read that in school. Do you remember that?
No.
But,
It's a book?
Yeah.
But is it horror elements or horror based?
Not really, but it's like dark.
Okay.
And so I wonder... Well, I have to just guess that this is a really good adaptation.
Yeah.
I trust that Shirley Jackson's original work is really good because she's such a acclaimed classic author.
Yeah.
in this genre. But I think Mike Flanagan and the other guy, there's another guy that he's done multiple projects with who has helped him on some of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I have to guess this is just like a really good adaptation of that because I haven't read the original book.
Yeah.
But I'm loving this mini-series,
Yeah.
I think it's called.
Yeah. From what I've read on the internet, it's a faithful adaptation, has the spirit, for lack of a better word, or no pun intended, of Hill House, the book or books, but he's taken it in a new direction and to mostly applause. Well, what is the lottery about? Or
The lottery is
summarize it?
about
Yeah.
it's a short story.
Mm.
Luna just had to read it recently in school.
Oh.
So it's kids, one day a year, this village, you pick, I can't remember if it's stones or sticks, and whoever gets the one black stone, basically the whole town stones them to death. And this happens annually.
When does this take place? 1800s or 1983?
She wrote her books. I want to
Pennsylvania?
say. I want to say she wrote a lot of her books like in the early to mid 20th century.
Okay.
She's dead now.
Yeah.
So like the early 1900s, mid 1900s is when her books were published.
Yeah.
But that's like a standard elementary school reading.
Really?
And you don't realize
It sounds
you don't
dark.
really realize what's happening until the end, and then you realize, oh, they're killing the kid. It kind of
So kids reach into a bag and they can't see what's going on, and then they pull something out, and there's one black stone in there.
I can't remember the details, but that's what it's the lottery. So whoever the one person is that gets selected is who the whole town stones to death.
What the hell is the point of this? This sounds horrifying.
She's written a lot of other books that are more kind of like creepy, haunted, or just like not even haunting, but like creepy family. A lot of creepy family dynamics in her stories.
Why would you let Luna Marie read that terrible, terrible story? And then they stone a child?
Yeah.
Okay, and the origin, the purpose, is it to ward off ghosts? Or?
I think it's just like a village tradition. It's a short story. I don't think we get a lot of explanation or...
Okay.
It's just kind of a contained little tale. And it's a classic. Luna read it last year in school. It hasn't been banned.
I say we ban it.
You want to ban books now.
I say we cancel it. Let's burn some books like Fahrenheit 451. So my thoughts, it's beautifully shot. There's two specific scenes. The one of Nellie's wedding when she's dancing. It's so well lit compared to the sheen. These network shows, I think they light them too much for people with crappy TVs or people who...
Is it
just to appeal to as many people as possible?
Is it a lower budget? There's something so distinct about a network TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know enough about the industry.
I think they're trying to appeal to as many people, and people want to see, or they're catering to people who have 13-inch tube TVs. But the look is just so different, so A and B. So Nellie's wedding, when she's dancing with her husband, her new husband, just amazing to look at. And then the second part, there's more dancing, but when she's in the haunted house and it's near the end.
That entire episode, was it episode 6?
Yes.
Episode 6 was so amazing.
So dang
mind-blowing,
good.
beginning to end.
Yeah.
This episode is actually, it was like very much talked about when it came out and like acclaimed.
Yeah.
Because 3 huge chunks of it are shot in a one shot, no cut type of scene.
One take
scene.
Yeah.
3 huge chunks of this episode.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful, especially like you're talking about the scene where Nellie is dancing.
Yeah.
With her husband.
With her husband, who, spoiler alert, has passed, but they're dancing, and then there's some of the ghosts in the background, just as audience or like next to family members, and so you're keeping your eye on for ghosts, but she has this beautiful moment with her deceased husband in this haunted house. Just, just extraordinary. Like cinema magic,
And
movie magic, all that stuff.
Beautifully intertwined back and forth between a scene when the kids were all young in the house.
Yeah.
And a scene where Nellie is grown up now coming back to this haunted house.
Yeah.
Just like beautiful transitions back and forth between these two nights or events.
Yeah. And we watched a couple behind the scenes things of this episode 6. And they had to rehearse for a month. Like they shut down production and they were like, we need to rehearse. And there was all sorts of things. There's like the director clapping to visual cues. So Henry from E.T.
Yeah, Elliot from E.T. is the main character in the show. What's his name? Henry Thomas?
Henry Thomas.
Yeah.
So like someone would clap off camera so Henry Thomas could go back down a hallway. They put the sets of past and current right next to each other.
Beautiful sets.
Yeah.
The house is gorgeous. I want to wander through this haunted house.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And sometimes there were sound cues. Sometimes there were just lighting cues of what to do next in the sequence. But tons of work, tons of rehearsal. And I always think about the Goodfellas one take Steadicam scene through the kitchen of the restaurant, which is quite the feat. But this was, I think the entire take was 17-ish minutes, and it's just wizardry. It's Marvel magic, not the Disney studio, but just marvelous to watch. And so you're taken by this the performances and the acting and what's going down, the drama. And the show, and you're also like, just technically, you're like, wow, I can't believe they pulled this off, and they keep going. It blew my mind. Yes.
Beautiful, fantastic episode of TV. I think you could watch it and appreciate it on its own, just for what it did, even if you don't watch the rest of the miniseries.
Yeah, just so good. You can appreciate it on the filmmaking craft level, and then you could appreciate it on the creative level also, the writing and the acting. So I thought we watched episode 1 and I was like, this is unbelievable. This is so flippin' good.
I was hooked.
Yeah, it was blockbuster entertainment. But then it kind of took it down a gear or two, and it really turned into a slow burn. It was still good, but it was just different. Mm-hmm. But I was in, and you noticed that each episode focuses on one of the kids. So Luke has episode, Sam, Steve?
It took me a few episodes to realize, while all the characters are featured, each episode has a main focal point, and it's going through each of the children.
Yeah.
So as the episodes go on, we're seeing their point of view, whatever was significant in their experience at the house and now as an adults. And we have 2 episodes left now.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering we haven't seen the mom have her own point of view.
Olivia.
And then so that might be the next episode, and then the final episode might just be sort of a conclusion of everything. But I'm really excited to watch the last 2 episodes.
We have 2 episodes. We're gonna smash through it this weekend. It's Friday night. Another note, idea, observation. We love subtitles. Everything is subtitles on our television, but there's like very subtle ghosts or visual things going on, courtesy of Mike Flanagan, that it's what you're like trying to pay attention to the subtitles, but you visually want to take in everything. Just last night, I was like, "Did you see that ghost?" And you were like, "Where?" And I rewound it, and it was like, "Oh yeah," because Henry Thomas doesn't notice her. She's just in the background for a couple seconds, but she's there. So I just thought, like, trying to read subtitles and take it in, it's difficult, but first world problem.
And a really creepy thing that was mentioned in last night's episode 8, the dad, the oldest brother, Steve, doesn't believe in ghosts. thinks that his family members are suffering from mental illness as opposed to actually seeing ghosts.
Right. And he's suffering also.
So the dad points out, oh no, you've been seeing ghosts your entire life.
Yeah.
You just haven't recognized that that's what it is. So now that had me thinking like, oh, what scenes with Steve have there been ghosts in maybe that we have missed along the way because we've been watching it from his point of view? Like what's been real in his scenes, what's been just ghosts, or I thought that was interesting.
Well, searching for the episode 6 behind the scenes stuff, there's many YouTube 86 ghosts you missed and you may have missed in Hill House or whatever.
Basically all the extras are ghosts.
Yeah. So there's 14-minute videos of look at this ghost, look at that ghost. Reactions to ghosts you missed in Hill House. But I want to watch that, but we're experiencing it, and we're experiencing it as we are experiencing it, and it's like when you learn that Disneyland has like trash cans or whatever. I don't. It breaks the magic. It breaks the scene. The kids are so good. More specifically, Nellie, the little girl who plays Nellie, like she has a unique look, and she's really good. Luke also good, but I think the spotlight on the young girl who plays Nellie.
She's kind of been the main character of the 5 children. She's kind of been the main child, the main sibling. Yeah. Through it. Although everybody is involved. Yeah. Nellie has kind of been the main person involved with the house and who's been affected. Yes.
Because Cheryl and Steve are large characters, have a lot to do, but Nellie is really the tie that binds.
I thought the casting was really great. Yeah. I love watching all these people on screen. Yeah. They do so good with the material.
Yes, absolutely. And no names, right? Well, Shirley was in Twilight, and when you mentioned that to me, I was like, she was in Twilight.
What's her name? Esme. So the mom from Twilight, if you're familiar. Yeah. That's one of the siblings as an adult. Yeah. E.T. Elliot from E.T.
Henry Thomas, yes.
Carla Gugino, whatever.
Carla
I don't know.
Gugino,
she's totally recognizable, but I couldn't tell you like anything she's been in.
Watchmen, which came out 15 years ago. But yeah, she's been in many things, and but I'd say she's the biggest name in this cast. So we're going on, and through 7 episodes, I was like, there's no bad episodes. Until episode 8, there's many long-winded monologues.
Not a lot happened.
Lots of chatting.
We didn't move the plot along. Ooh, the brownies are done!
The brownies are done.
Hey, Google. Turn off timer. And oop! Frankie is laying on Lennox's new hoodie.
Oh, dear.
Snuggled up. Okay.
That boy.
And oop!
Episode 8. Lots of long-winded monologues. Lots of chatting, which are cool, but if the camera just stays on the person giving the long-winded monologue and there's no action or recreation or illustration of what they're talking about, it gets old. But episode 8 is the shortest episode. It's 43 minutes long, so it's not too bad. And it comes after Mr. Darcy. No, that was the pig, and The Only Way is Essex. Mr. Derby? The house couple. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The house.
Darcy?
Sure, Derby. The maintenance man of Hill House. He has a fantastic monologue in episode 7, talking about his mom and the house and history. So I was like, okay, I'm on board with him. But yeah, episode 8, they just regress into a lot of chatting.
It could have been like 20 minutes long. Yeah. For what it advanced in the plot. Yeah. But we have 2 more episodes to go. Yes. I'm excited.
Yes. Overall, Hill House versus Hannibal.
Hannibal, boo.
Hill House murders Hannibal. Is that a good headline? Yeah. Hill House chops up Hannibal into pieces. But yeah, network television, whoever's watching these shows, these NCIS and 911 Lone Star, which is probably about Texas and not about Bill Pullman's character in Spaceballs, honey.
What?
Yeah, the streaming shows, the internet shows, the video series, just so much more compelling, and people they watch it and they talk about it while the Queen Latifah. What is
she's the star of one of the top 10 network shows that no one's ever heard of.
Equalizer. So makes no sense.
Haunting of Hill House. I always forget what this show is called.
Hill House.
Hill House Haunting?
Yeah.
Haunting.
The Haunting of Hill House.
It's a few years old. It's about 7 years old or 8?
No, 2016.
Oh, okay.
Wait. I got it right here.
Even 2016 is ancient now. We're in 2022.
2018.
Oh, okay.
And Hannibal is from 2013.
Yeah. If you need something to watch, absolutely go watch this. Only 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Super engaging. Great characters. Great actors.
Yeah. And we're gonna do a Midnight Mass night. Well, actually, we're gonna do All of Us Are Dead, courtesy of Pally's recommendation.
That's a Korean zombie show?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Luna tried to watch it today, and I was like, no. Vince
really?
and I are going to watch this first. And then I'll tell you if it's okay for you. Okay. And of course, she came back with, I watched Yellow Jackets.
Oh, dear. But yeah, Hill House, big thumbs up. Hannibal, although I don't know why anyone would watch it. Oh, maybe they saw the Facebook post.
So many people on Twitter, on Facebook, just talking about how great Hannibal is.
Sure.
I guess it's great for network shows.
Yeah.
If you watch it, your other you got The Equalizer and 911
Lone Star.
Sure.
Which isn't about...
I guess Hannibal is great compared to those.
Bill Pullman's character. Spaceballs. He was the Han Solo, honey. Okay, so... Now we're drifting, changing,
is
switching.
Is this a segue?
Sure. As Marshall Phillips used to say, switching gears. Here's our conversation about that started with Hannibal, and then we threw in Hill House, and then just the wider picture of television, video, internet streaming versus network television. So here you go.
And oop.
You gave up on Hannibal.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. I barely remember.
The Hannibal versus Haunting.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, because Hannibal, the ad breaks are like jarring compared to Netflix, where it's just one long hour or 45 minutes or whatever.
What did we watch Hannibal on?
Hulu or Netflix? Hulu. It had ads.
Yeah.
But even if it didn't have ads, like they write for ads.
Yeah.
So they plot the show for ads. So I guess they have 4 breaks where they want to keep you tuned in.
You can tell when like it ends suddenly, and then it picks up a second later in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
So even if it's not an actual ad that's playing, you can tell.
Right.
An ad was supposed to be there.
Right. Another thing, Hannibal was like, it just has like a network sheen.
Totally.
Where it's like, okay, this is a broadcast network, and Haunting on Hill House just had like, oh, this like a movie feel.
Totally.
Dark.
Yeah.
vibe.
Haunting on Hill House was like more cinematic.
Yeah.
And Hannibal felt like a better version of like NCIS.
Right. Right. Well, because Luna started watching Chucky, and we didn't know where that was or what was. We were like, oh, is it too much? Is it a bunch of blood and guts? So I threw it up on the TV, and within a minute, I was like, this is... It's cable, but it's broadcast television. It's cheesy. It's not going to get too gory. So I was like, oh, we don't have anything to worry about. Yeah, the look and feel of them, and it's night and day. It's a complete 180 from one to another, and I have zero desire to watch Hannibal.
Everyone on the internet, everyone was
100% of the internet
was raving about Hannibal. So,
Yeah.
and I've heard about it for a long time. So
Me
I
too.
thought, well, maybe we should finally check it out.
Well, what's wrong with everyone on the internet, honey?
They're stupid.
Are their standards lower?
I think, generally speaking, the human race is easy to entertain. They're easy to please.
The masses are asses.
The bar is low.
Yeah.
So it's understandable that a ton of people, well, just like all those shows like FBI,
Oh.
NCIS,
911. 911 Chicago.
Crime and Punishment, whatever all these shows are.
Yeah.
They go on forever. They're popular. I don't know who's watching
Who
them.
watches them?
Lots of people are watching them, apparently. I don't know who these people are.
That's the big question.
So Hannibal kind of falls under that umbrella.
Yeah. I think old people watch them because when's the last time you heard someone say, "Hey, did you watch Chicago Med last night?" I mean, I remember those conversations from 30 years ago. Did you watch Seinfeld? Did you watch Cheers? But Scott Baio, actor, was recently on Adam Carolla. He's a Republican, by the way. Scott Baio hung out with Ronald Reagan, honey. And he was on Happy Days, which was a huge sitcom for 7 years, maybe 11. I don't remember. So him and Adam Carolla were talking about ratings. And Scott Baio said at Happy Days peak, 1980-ish, early 1980s, they were getting 40 million people a week to tune in. And then Carolla throws this in, and I never thought about it like this. Yeah, and the population was a lot smaller. So I did some Googling, honey. I went on the internet. 40 million people would tune in. In 1980, the population was 225 million Americans.
Wow.
That's 18% of the audience.
That's
Now,
massive.
That's ginormous, but if you think about it, that's only 1 out of 5. That's not...
One out of 5 when you're talking about a population of a country is big.
It's big.
Yeah.
But it's not 100. What do 100% of people do? I mean, we all eat, I guess. We all use electricity. But, when it comes to entertainment, yeah. Well, okay, so 18%. 40 million people out of 225 million population. 18%, 1 out of 5. People would tune in to Happy Days. A hit show now, very different standards.
Put it on my bed, please.
Narrate what happened, honey. Lennox brought a towel.
Lennox is in his bedroom folding his clothes, and he brought out a bath towel that got in with his laundry.
And
he held it out to me.
Frowning.
Didn't know what to
He
do
looked
with
very
it.
put out.
That boy's not happy when he's folding his clothes.
Right. And he's not happy the entire 2.5 to 3 hours that he's folding his clothes. 40 million watchers out of 225 million population, 80% of the population. Currently, and it varies, but generally speaking, a quote-unquote hit show, the number one show, is 12 million people. And then throw in the second number, and this is an estimate, but there's about 340 million Americans. 3% of the population.
Oh. Wow.
So
Doesn't even compare.
Yeah. 42 years. Just a huge, and so like, when there are podcasts and websites recapping TV shows, they're going for at best 3% of the nation. That's so odd. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, that's what's great about the internet. Like, if you want a podcast about a cable show that gets 1 million people to tune in, there is a podcast. There's probably 80 podcasts about that cable show, which very few people watch. So it's what's great, but it's also what kind of separates us, drives us apart. We don't have a common
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
Another fascinating thing when I was doing this deep dive into television ratings, video is what I refer to it now. The top 10 shows. I don't even want to go through them, but I was just going through them like, who cares?
You
about
haven't heard of half of them.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Well, yeah. Well, again, NCIS, CBS, number one show, 12 million people a week. When's the last time you heard it? Did you watch NCIS? No. Well, did Mark Harmon do something? Is that even on? Is that guy? Is he Jag? And also the NCIS, it's on CBS, 12 million people. But like, we talk about television, video, and we just recently, like, Hannibal, we popped on. That's from 2013. It lasted 3 years. Haunting on Hill House.
That's a few years old, isn't it?
Yeah. And what else have we watched?
We recently finished Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets. Yeah. And that, it's definitely nowhere near 40 million people of Happy Days Yore. It's nowhere near 12 million people, but it's what people talk about.
Yeah, it was,
or a small segment, enough people talk about it on the internet.
Enough people did that we both saw multiple people talking about it, like on Twitter, for example. Yeah. Nobody on Twitter is talking about NCIS.
Right. Yeah, it's the largest audience.
That might also be why we think it's older people, because they're not on Twitter tweeting about it.
Yeah. They're not on Facebook Facebooking about it. And it led me to the wider thought of, like, this. I think Mark Harmon is on NCIS.
He's on something.
Who cares? But say Mark Harmon is on NCIS, and God bless him, he's banking checks every week for 20 years now.
Get that steady paycheck.
Right, you make that paper. So Mark Harmon, the new NCIS season is starting, and Mark Harmon has to do press and publicize and say, "Hey, our new season is starting." Well, I'm saying that he has to promote it.
Okay.
And he goes on Jimmy Fallon, and he goes on radio shows, and he does extra to promote the new season. And it's like, well, who is he promoting it to? And there's this giant beast, this machine of media, Jimmy Fallon, extra, Entertainment Weekly, magazines, all this stuff to promote these shows that, quote unquote, no one watches, or no one I know watches. No one under 50 or 60 watches. It's very bizarre. And this thing exists, this circus, this marketing machine exists because it exists. Like, there's no actual reason for it. Promoting these TV shows. The number 2 most popular TV shows, Equalizer with Queen Latifah, honey. She's a bad cop.
Oh, the only reason I think, tell me if I'm correct, is this the show that Chris Noth was on?
Correct.
The only reason I've heard of it is because recently Queen Latifah made a statement about him not being on the show anymore.
They kicked his ass off the show because a bunch of women came out and said he did stuff to them.
That's the only reason I know of this show.
Right. Exactly. And God bless Queen Latifah, a rapper from the 80s, that she could find a hit show amongst the seniors and the elderly. Number 3 show is called FBI. Just
FBI?
FBI. First of all, like, worst name ever, or laziest name ever. Next is Chicago Fire. Another zero creativity. 10 million people. Another one, Blue Bloods, who I only know because Tom Selleck is on it, who I only know because he dated Monica from Friends. And
is Blue Bloods also the New Kid on the Block brother?
Correct. Donnie Wahlberg.
I was thinking Donnie Osmond. I knew that wasn't right.
So I told you Chicago Fire is number 5 most popular show. Then Blue Bloods, number 7 most popular show. Chicago Med.
Oh.
So there's Chicago Fire, and then Chicago Med.
The fire department. The doctor is off the hospital department.
Right. Is there a crossover episode? Does the Flash go on the Arrow? Do they share the same cinematic universe? Next most popular show, 911.
911.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
These are the worst named shows of all time. What happened to a good show like Seinfeld or Cheers, Lennox? He just walked by. So there's Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, 911 is the next most popular show. Then one right after that, Chicago
NYP or Chicago PD.
Correct. So there's Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD.
Wow.
Next one, I've actually heard this one. This Is Us, because stars Mandy Moore. And Milo Ventimiglia.
Oh, yes.
And the large Chrissy something or other.
Yes. They're all over the media, the social
Right.
media for some reason.
I would say that's the one successful marketing that's broken through to social media. Yeah.
Agree.
The socials. And then I told you 911 was a popular show in this list. The 10th most popular show is 911 : Lone Star.
Lone Star.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the Texas version?
I hope so. And also in the top 12, top 15, I told you about FBI, the number 3 most popular show. Also in the top 15, FBI : Most Wanted.
Ooh.
So the moral of the story, I would never watch any of these shows. I have zero desire. Again, who was watching these? Well, we answered that. Old people who don't have the internet or just like flipping on the remote control and sitting down. And then they keep it tuned to Fallon and Colbert, because who's watching that nonsense?
Oh, maybe it's like
Queen Latifah on Colbert to promote Equalizer.
You know what it is? It's like senior living facilities and Jiffy Lubes, and they just have the basic channels, and they just put it on.
Yeah.
They just put on CBS.
Oh, yeah.
24 hours a day in the rec room.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on a Reddit thread, and the age-old question, who's watching CNN? And I was like, well, no one. But it's on airport TVs.
Oh, yeah.
It's on hotel lobby TVs. It's on office building lobby TVs. And the people that do have it on their own accord, they're not hanging on to every word Don Lemon says, or they're not engaging in it. They're not sitting there spellbound by what Jake Tapper has to say. It's just more background noise, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. Who watches cable news? Other people in cable news watch cable news.
Pundits who have to talk about it.
Right. And, well, to be frank, right-wing media watches cable news so they can get Don Lemon saying something outrageous and liberal and, oh my gosh, can you believe Wolf Blitzer said this, and look at this. And it's like, well, no one was watching that except for Wolf Blitzer's cameraman, maybe, and staff, and other people in the media. So it's just, well, it's like this whole life form feeding on itself.
Yeah.
Where in the end, it's just a bunch of nonsense, and who cares? And I'm an angry, bitter, former mainstream media, right-wing talk show staffer. But I'm pulled as I've involuntarily pulled from it, but I can see it now, and I see it's a bunch of bullshit, and it's stupid, and it's just, it exists because it exists, and it's something to do, and people make a living from it. Don Lemon cashes his paycheck, and that's fine. But as far as it permeating and reaching our conversation or my conversation with my coworkers or my family, it doesn't get there.
No.
And it's stupid, and it doesn't matter. And yeah. And that's my hot take. Anyways.
And
I
oop.
don't know what to say.
I got more.
Okay. You got more hot takes.
Yes. Okay, so that was that. and a few more notes, ideas, observations, hot takes. This is all about ad money. So network television, it exists because 20 years ago it was relevant, and it still exists because it exists. Like, there's no one watching these shows. There's no one talking about these shows. No one cares about these shows, but there's a lot of money and people's jobs and people's livelihoods that are part of this network TV machine organism circus, if you will, and they don't want to see their livelihood, their money, their influence go away. So it continues to feed on itself or manifest itself. Queen Latifah going on Stephen Colbert to talk about The Equalizer. What? Who cares? It doesn't reach us. It doesn't reach regular people. So it's become this cellular organism that feeds on itself only because it feeds on itself. Like, it doesn't. It's not relevant. It's completely just old timey and anachronistic, and it matters nothing to me and the people I know and the people I love, but it matters to this world. Michael Strahan talking to Mark Harmon about NCIS. No one cares except for Mark Harmon and Michael Strahan and maybe people with websites who need content to write things about.
So if these network shows went away tomorrow,
Yeah.
could these people such as Stephen Colbert, Good Morning America,
Yeah.
could they just transition to talking about the streaming network shows that more people are talking about?
Theoretically, yes, but those are quote unquote smaller audiences. So you want the biggest appeal possible, and so you look at the top 20 and you see, 911 Lone Star. Let's book a star from an actor from that show. Yeah, it's very odd. So it's completely detached. It's a different world, and it's irrelevant to most people's lives. And I also see like cable news, and I mentioned this in our previous discussion, existing for other people in cable news, other people in the media, right-wing talk shows.
What is funding all of this? What is keeping this going?
Like I said, ad money.
But why are these advertisers paying for these shows?
Because they do get an audience, and even though the Equalizer gets 3% of people versus Happy Days, which used to get 18%, 3% of people is still significant, and it's more than Yellow Jackets. Okay, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure Yellow Jackets, a few million, maybe.
Yeah, can't be very high. Yeah. Although, again, like in my bubble, which is the place that I hear about TV shows is Twitter. Mm-hmm. And so Yellow Jackets all over Twitter. Right. Everyone's talking about it. No one's talking about the network shows.
Right.
But is that just my little bubble I'm in? Is that just the Twitter users who are very vocal and posting a lot?
Yeah. It's Twitter, it's the internet versus traditional broadcast media. There are two worlds, and if you see broadcast traditional media, analog media, try to navigate Twitter and Instagram, and you might see someone on broadcast radio like Dan Mitchinson say, I'm going to be on the radio at 3:06 p.m. talking about NCIS. Listen to me. And it's like, no one cares, dude.
Why do you think there isn't more overlap between people on Twitter being excited about and talking about network shows?
Yeah.
What's the disconnect?
Probably money and validation. there's still something tangible about being on Fallon. There's still it means something because there's so much money going into it, and there's a lot of attention paid to it. I saw Addison Rae, TikTok gal, on Fallon, and she did a couple dances, and it was just so like, she's out of her element. Fallon is out of his. The audience didn't know what the hell how the hell to react, and it was just like, well, Addison Rae gets many views compared to Jimmy Fallon, but Jimmy Fallon still, in the traditional sense, traditional media, he's still seen as a big deal because he's in the old world, and those people are clinging to any hope of relevancy and any hope of influence that they still have, and there's still a ton of dough flowing to traditional broadcast media. It's some of it is diverting to digital media, influencers, but NBC and iHeartRadio will go to their dying day trying to cling on to as many as much ad money.
This is interesting. I wonder, I imagine that the honchos, the CEOs over these big companies are older.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, over the next 10, 20, 30 years, as they retire out and new people come in to take control, how the landscape's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how much more integrated, like, these more obscure streaming shows will be with what we see in the nightly talk shows and the more, like, Good Morning America type shows.
Yeah.
As new, younger people take the reins.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, mass media is done. You find a couple YouTubers, you find a couple podcasts, you're good to go. You don't need Good Morning America. You don't need NBC News. You don't need CNN.
Yeah.
So entertainment, media, news, trying to find as big an audience as possible, that's gone, or it's going away very quickly.
Yeah, definitely seems to be.
Yeah. Everyone has a microphone, as I'm looking at right now. Everyone has a hot take. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has the ability to broadcast.
We're podcasting from our dining room table, honey.
Yes, we are. So trying to go for the big audience, the masses, it's gone. And it was fun while it lasted.
Entertainment is so small and niche.
It's fractured.
Like, I have, like, 10 YouTube channels that I regularly consume content of. I have, like, 3 podcasts I regularly watch.
Yep.
And you are not interested in and you don't watch any of those. So you have your own little thing that you watch. I have my own little thing I watch. And the kids.
Bubble, yeah.
So it's very fractured.
Yeah. And meanwhile, young Sheldon, which is the Big Bang Theory reboot.
Oh my gosh.
Is on a network television, is on a broadcast network, television station network. And it gets ratings, whatever that means. But as far as influence and mind share and just chatting over the water cooler, it's nothing. But in the traditional sense, it's still a quote unquote hit, whatever that means nowadays. Like, and people in charge, the honchos of these networks and radio stations, they're just they see the end coming, but they're just trying to hold on.
Are they trying to milk it through their retirement?
Yes, for their tenure. They're just trying to hang on.
God bless you.
But I've read some hot takes of, like, Mr. Beast throws out a video and it gets 50 million views in a couple days, 100 million views, and the suits at NBC, they don't know what to make of it. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They don't even want to consider it because, again, that means their power, their influence is going away, which it is. So a lot of them just ignore it. Again, we have young Sheldon.
Yeah. For now, they can.
Yeah.
Like, currently, they can do that. They can ignore it and just continue puffing along with whatever they've got going on with young Sheldon.
Yeah, and their influence is dying.
They will have a day of reckoning.
Yes. I cannot wait. Dude. But one thing that's odd, so I was thinking about ratings and how Nielsen does ratings now is they get a couple thousand people and that's the nation. It's a small sample and then they extrapolate and that's how ratings are done. It's a terrible system, but it's the best system in terms of 20 years ago, whatever. But now it's gone completely on the other end where I don't know if you've seen this metrics, but Netflix will be like, Squid Game was streamed for 6 billion minutes last month. And it's like, what? Sampling 1,000 people is dumb. And then saying Squid Game was streamed for 6 billion minutes is also dumb.
It is. Both are dumb. And both are totally different ways of measuring this.
Yeah.
So they're completely, you can't compare them in any way.
Yeah. And I've heard people say, well, 6 billion divided by whatever the run time of Squid Game is, 806 minutes, means that it's like, people don't watch TV like that, dude. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's a bunch of nonsense.
And then there's us who watch often 1 or 2 episodes of a show and then completely give up.
Yeah.
So what is our views counting toward? Our minutes? Are our minutes
we
counting?
got a couple minutes in the 8 billion minutes that Netflix's Squid Game. Yeah, there's no standard, I guess, or trusted standard, or standard that makes sense. Like, okay, you're measuring audience this way, and saying 12 million people watch. Is it Equalizer? Is that Queen Latifah show?
Sure.
12 million. But what does that mean? And how does that translate to Mr. Beast getting 50? Because I'm sure his 50 million views, people watch 3 seconds. They're like, get out of here. And it's all just a bunch of nonsense. But it goes back to ad revenue. And there's a ton of ad dough. There's billions of dollars of ad revenue flowing into all of this. So they want to sort of justify. At
the end of the day, that's what matters is the money.
Yeah. When Ghostbusters Afterlife came out, and so I watched Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson on Jimmy Fallon promoting it, talking about it. And Jimmy's first question is, why now? Why are you guys coming back now? It's 20 years after Ghostbusters. And I just thought, this construct. First of all, Fallon, money, you moron. Because I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's fun. It's cute. But Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Bill Murray, they maybe had a week's worth of work to do. Like they were on set and they were acting for maybe a week. And they probably got paid up the wazoo, up the yin-yang. Jimmy Fallon, get out of here with your stupid why now? And then Dan Aykroyd goes into his stupid answer. Well, we were waiting for the right script.
Sure.
And I just thought this whole, again, this organism, this machine, this of promotion and marketing, it's just so outdated and dumb. And it exists because it exists. And I close the window because there's 9 trillion other things you could watch on YouTube and Minecraft and TikTok and Netflix.
Honey.
Yes.
This is why I read books that I get at the library.
Yes.
My local Yolo and Sacramento County libraries.
Yes. FR. Family read.
Family reading time.
FRT.
FRT.
FERT.
Which I demand we do at least once a week.
FERT. We're still working on the acronym. It's not a great acronym.
Turn off your screens and open a book, people.
Yes. Exactly. And then finally, I want to mention we railed on. I railed on. In the previous segment, old people. Who's watching NCIS?
You're so ageist, honey.
Who's watching 911 Fox and 911 Lone Star and Chicago Fire and FBI CIS and Chicago Med?
You're just
and
making this.
Chicago
You're
PD.
making these up now.
I'm not. But old people. It's old people in the Midwest, flyover country. But and then I thought about it. Your parents don't watch this nonsense.
No, my parents watch a lot of streaming, like
Yeah.
Netflix, and I'm not sure if they have Hulu, but
Yeah.
yeah, Netflix I know for sure. They're always watching new movies.
Yeah,
and
they're bringing up shows,
Yeah.
and we're like, what is that show?
They're introducing the kids to shows on
Yeah.
Netflix that Luna is now watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And my parents aren't watching this crap.
your dad watches football.
Well, that still pulls in an audience, and rightly so, because it's unscripted and it's sports, and it's athleticism. But so your parents, so quote unquote old people in the Midwest, but our parents aren't in the Midwest, but. It's not all old people. It's not old people.
No.
'Cause your parents are on streaming. My parents are on streaming. So
Maybe it's really, really old people, like in their 80s?
yeah,
Because our parents are in their 60s and 70s.
yeah,
So it's those old farts in their 80s and 90s.
yeah. I think so.
Or, like I hypothesized before, like people just turn them on in
Yeah.
the old folks' homes in the rec room
Yeah,
and let the TVs play.
right.
Or in the gym. We used to go to Planet Fitness and there's 8 TVs playing with
Yeah.
8 different channels across the board.
Yeah.
And they're just playing 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, back to my point. The only people watching this are other people in the media and people who run websites who need to write about Real Housewives of Orange County or whatever, Real Housewives of Atlanta or Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They need to write about these idiotic reality shows full of content. But outside of that, it doesn't exist on any tangible level. Alrighty. Are we done, honey?
Yes.
Alrighty. Well, that's the end of the program. It's been fun, but not really. Let's all try a little harder next time. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, review, and rate, or don't. Do whatever you want. You're a grown-up. Make your own decisions. Do what's best for your family. Please be sure to use our promo code for BetterHelp.com. We don't have a promo code for BetterHelp.com. Goodbye. I love you. We love you. We hope you have a good day today and tomorrow. And sure, I may have lovingly referred to my parents and in-laws as old, but I'm still a good person, and we're still good people. Yes, darling.
I refer to people in their 80s and 90s as old farts.
Oh.
And I'm sorry, and I'm still a good person.
If they were on Twitter, they would cancel you. They would unearth your anti-Semitic rant from 2009. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day/night. Bye-bye.
And oop. Ooh.
We got chicken?
Is that crispy, juicy tender?